Fratelli d'Italia.
I love it.
With this big, huge microphone, I can sing. I feel like
That's
better
it.
than the chorus. What do you think, Mike? Let's start
Yeah,
from there.
I think you have a voice of an angel. We need to start monetizing your voice.
Oh, that's true. No, you know what is funny? They were able to destroy the poropo, 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 po, 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 po. They destroyed
Yeah.
that part,
Did
which
did
is
you see the news though?
yeah. I saw the news, Mike. I saw the news. It's great. Well, what do you think? Is it?
I I was really happy with it until I found out that the choirs were formed out of orphaned children, and then started feeling a bit guilty about it. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So there was a post where a gent goes, "Oh, I hope you're all proud of yourselves. You just made some orphan children unemployed." Um, which which made me
Unemployed.
feel a lot worse about it.
Unemployed. What is 2 centuries ago? Half a century ago?
That's it.
With
That's it. They have to
with
pay their way
slavery.
nowadays.
No,
It's like Oliver
no.
Twist in France, isn't it?
Man, an Oliver Twist. That
That's
is
it.
the plot twist of the World Cup, the hymn that changed. But who knows if we're gonna change, because every federation is gonna change the anthem if they want, from
If they
the
want, yeah,
orchestra to the other one. Let me tell you something, because the both chorus, both anthem from the stadium this weekend, they were good from the stadium
from the stadium.
thing, from the stadium. But when I hear from the TV in Marseille, Italy, Namibia, I was totally upset with that. I wasn't happy at all. So
Yeah, I think it's an interesting like issue, isn't it? Because we derive strength from our anthem as Italians. The French do the same, right? The Irish do the same, and I think sometimes the build up, if it's not as potent and not as impactful, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of unhappy federations. The fact that they made the change after the first round, they made it so quickly. I think there's probably a lot of
yeah,
a lot of unhappy people. But yeah, listen, like for me, if if it adds to the atmosphere, that's great. But I think orchestra all the way for me, right?
orchestra
That's
all
not
the way.
necessarily orchestra for me. Yeah, orchestra.
Let's
Like
let's record and sell something with all the anthem,
yeah,
with RWC and stuff on, but please give us the anthem, guys. We start in this weird way. We are live on both channel. We are on Rugby Gocciotto, but guys, please go. I tag Fratelli di Rugby also on mine, so please subscribe to Fratelli di Rugby. You can find a lot of interesting. So buonasera, buongiorno, benvenuti, welcome everybody. Here we are. We started from the anthem, so we didn't say anything else, but only the anthem.
we always start from the anthems, my friend.
Only the anthem.
Every game.
And every podcast we start with the anthem plus Capuozzo. So
Yeah. That's how I wake up in the morning. I just watch that clip every morning. It gets me off the right
Capuozzo.
way.
Is it your alarm? Tell me the
That's
truth. Is
it.
it
That's
your
it.
alarm for the morning?
My
Capuozzo.
missus is just like slapping me, like, I don't care about what. I'm like, you don't
Who's
understand.
Capuozzo? Who's Capuozzo? Is it a
Yeah,
Capuozza?
yeah. She doesn't understand, bless her. But yeah, I think a lot to go through this week. Where do you want to start, Otto?
Who shall we start from selection and then how we went into the game? I think
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
we
yeah,
start strong. We start
yeah.
super strong with a really passionate and good team to start the one of the most experienced team we can put in the field. Think about cup. We had a lot of cups in. We had the Ruzza, Seb Negri, Tommy Allan, in great shape. Tommy Allan, and was an hard first half in general. Just a couple of words down there, and then we're gonna dig into it. Was a tough first half, but then we settle our style. We were really dangerous at the end. This is something that doesn't seem to be, but yeah, we were dangerous in first phase of attack, plus then multi-phase and stuff. and that was something that really happy, really disciplined. And then second half, at the end, in the end we were better and we scored loads of try at the end. So great
Yeah.
job, well done. We
Yeah.
started.
And I think that's a great sort of synopsis to the match. And I think, obviously, we may as well jump straight into it, because I think that's the main thing that we want to focus on. There's going to be obviously the other games as well, but as Italians, damn it, we're going to stick to our guns. So I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, I think it was an important lesson this game, because didn't get everything our way, and at test level, no one's going to give you anything. And I think that's an important lesson, regardless who the opposition is, that our young team needed to learn. And it's really good that we learned it the first game, because at times Namibia had us sussed. They knew what we wanted to do, and they made life a little bit difficult for us. And, that's a good lesson to learn so early.
That's true.
So, there's that. But yeah, like, why do you think we struggled at the start just to find our feet a little bit? Do you think it was just a bit of nerves, or from your eye?
So I think nerves, yes. A couple of problems about miscommunication, because as you see, for example, the guilty of the first try looks to be something like who was the guy? Ioane, because he missed. But for example, Ioane was inside to Garbisi, so that is something a little bit different that you usually don't see that, because you see maybe Garbisi before Ioane, and then Garbisi shot out in defense. There was a lot of space almost covered by Ioane, but wasn't enough. So probably that is something that changed, like a miscommunication moment. It's mine, it's yours. I go, you cover. That communication missing, but nerves and the heat. Because think about how hot it was. It was for both teams, we know that.
Yeah.
But was miserable thinking how hot was France in those days, and playing at 12 at 1, sorry, at 1. It's
Yeah.
I think it's different. We usually don't play at 1. We play at
No.
3. We play at
Yeah.
9. So also that used to, and then the quality came out at the end of the game. We had outstanding game by at least 2-3 players. Some other players we don't see so much, but still they score. Talking about Odogu, he played 3 games, 2 tries at the end. 2 tries. Superman Odogu breaking the
Hey,
shirt.
that boy has ice in his blood. Like, he is a killer. Like, and if we're talking sort of stereotypically, like, minus obviously, I'd say the Italians of old, and even maybe Minotti is a bit of like an outlier. Like, we always really struggled with that finisher, and man, that boy wants to score tries, and man, I'm so happy he's doing it in
He's
blue.
hungry
So
for tries. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So, for me, yes, I think the heat was massively influential. It was depleting. The boys were used to that heat. Obviously, we've spoken to Seb and we spoke to CC all before the game, and they were like, "Listen, it's never going to be as hot as it was in Italy whilst they were training in pre-season, but also it's a test rugby match, and you can train all you want, you can train at a high intensity, but that's training against your own team, and you're never going to really fully commit 100% to try and absolutely obliterate a team, and they had nothing to lose, so that's what they did, and that's what we saw. But you know what, I was quite impressed with Namibia. I was quite impressed. I think their blitz was fantastic, at least whilst they still had energy, and that sapped out of them pretty quick. But as you are a stat man, I will give you an interesting one.
Give me the stat, and then I'm gonna give you something else that I'm working on. I'm gonna show some stuff.
Nice. So, did you know, in terms of the contact dominance, that was we scored the is that what you're gonna say? Go.
No, other stuff. No, it's other stuff that I'm doing. So
out of the contact dominance, we scored the highest out of any team in this World Cup first round. And you got to bear in mind there were some outliers like Ireland and Romania, and we managed to do it against a strong Namibian side. So I think we could take some confidence there, no?
That confidence, and also for the dominance of Cannone, the break of the line, the offload, the try between him and Lamaro, the use we do with Sebnegri. Every time we have a slow ball, we go back from the source of the previous rack, we move the ball in, and from there we smash with Sebnegri. So every time we need some help in the middle of the field, we go slow, ball to Seb, even with some knock on, some unclean situation within the rack, but he's the man. And from there, we move around, and we are creating a lot of issues when we try to be dominant with Ioane. The little narrow space that Capozzi is finding. It was a weird game on another side because Brex, one of the best tacklers every time, he tackled I think once in the whole game. Morisi 5 times for
Wow.
tackles. So think about how we were in possession and aggressive in the line. Think about the first action of the game, the first multi-phase from Namibia. 11, 12 phases. We were really disciplined, then a little offside over there. But man, we were doing the exact work we were doing against Romania, pushing strongly, eating hard, and the bench worked so well when they get into the field. That is another Zuliani. one guy, Zuliani, the Kraken.
Hey, he is the Kraken. I think Zuliani is a bit of a thug. I've always said it. Like he comes in and he just loves to monster people, and he puts his head in dangerous places, and he's just brave. He's just a brave guy. Man, like Zuzu's got like some serious potential. So
And go ahead.
no, I was gonna say. So like we'll see sort of how he's utilized, because I think there's definitely like going to be some or potentially a game where I would definitely start him. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, let's see, for example, if we're gonna start with a different specialist or it's gonna come earlier, because this was the game that we need to start in that way. But I'm gonna share one thing, and Claudio, buonasera. Hi guys, says Claudio.
Buonasera tutti.
Let me share one thing so we can see also how we changed during the game, because this was the game where we switched some position. There was the first time that we see a lot more of the couple of players. So let me zoom it a little bit more. So this is the starting. Let me see. Okay, Capozzo, Bruno. Okay, you can see pretty well. Let me see if I can do a little bit better than this. But we start with Fischetti, Nicotera, Ferrari, Lamb, Ruzza, Negri, Lamaro, Lorenzo Cannone, Varni, Garbisi, Ioane, Morisi, Brax, and Capozzo. Just at the beginning, after 8 minutes into the second half, we start moving a lot because we brought Garbisi into as first receiver, inside center. We brought Bruno in and we moved Capozzo on the fullback. So that was something that already changed completely, bringing Allan at 10. So this was minute 48 of the game when we start doing this.
Yeah.
So, and from there, then we try Odogu as center. We see how works the combination Garbisi Allan, which is so important. We saw Zuliani and Sisi get in. We saw the articles of Faiva, Riccioni close to the try, Nemer with a couple of good pull pass behind, and he wasn't unleashed as we know, for example. No, Ivan Nemer.
Yeah. You know what? There was I know there's one of Squid Rugby. He did a little breakdown. He's got a podcast with his brother, And his brother said something really interesting. He was like, Italy are still not showing their hand. They just played similar sort of way to Romania. They tried new stuff, but there's sort of a general sense against the Anglo fans where Italy still have a lot more to show. And I think, if we can get through Uruguay without having to show it, then I think we could potentially be a very difficult team to prepare against. I was saying this to Ottavio off air, but I'll repeat for all of you guys who haven't heard it. So I think if I was a coach and I was looking at us, I'd struggle massively to start identifying how we would set up for a particular team. What would we have? Alan at 10, Garbisi at 12, Garbisi at 10, Alan at 15, Capozzo at 15, Alan at 10. And we've had so many ball players. Brex maybe might, Brex been playing first receiver. Lama or this game was playing from the base of the ruck a few times. Like it was such a difficult team to analyze.
Because we're trying to switch position. Something that, for example, what Mattia MVP, for example, was saying. One of the follower of my channel, for example, we were speaking and said, "You see how." He said right way how liquid we are, like a liquid attack, no? So everything changing, not depending on the decision of Brex that was on the edge. It was the player that moved on the edge. Then we can show a couple of clips that we have, clips not from World Rugby but some PowerPoint stuff. We can show how Italy attack worked until now and how it's going to change, putting a 12 that can be a playmaker but can also attack a lot the line. That's something really interesting because he seems a lot more unleashed in the last couple of games. Garbisi more free to play, and also Alan is bringing so much quality with the from the booth and with the hands. He's absorbing, he's soaking in a lot of defenders every time. He's getting it, but he's still there, stand up, ready for the next phases. So that is something really, really cool about us. And the discipline, something we struggle usually. We concede at the end of the game like 4 straight penalties on a total of 9 penalties during the game. So
yeah, that's a really interesting and actually probably an overlooked point from us, like how well our discipline has been, and also like how not just in sort of like the key areas and stuff. I mean, even defensively, like how low we're getting just in case. And there's obviously, we'll probably come onto it, but there's a few discussions probably to be had in terms of head contact this past, well, like
the consistency
we can't
contact.
we can't avoid it, but we're putting ourselves in a position where we're just trying not to avoid that conversation any way possible. And you can see, because we're quite happy to give an inch if it means that it's going to be a slightly safer tackle. And I think it's the right mentality to have in a tournament. You have to adapt to the tournament, especially when there's so much pressure from the governing body for head contact. So, man, I'm you know what, I'm relatively I'm relatively happy. I'm quite impressed with the boys, to be honest. We had 96% tackle completion. Is that right?
I can tell you right now, we had we have 100% on the scrum, 95% on line out, just one missed, and tackle 87%. We
87%.
missed 12 tackles, but at the end we tackle more than Namibia, even having less like more possession than them, 52%. We tackle more.
Yeah, and just because I saw this question, I think if we can highlight it, Otto, the Michael Sheehan one, I think this is an important question for a lot of people. It comes up a lot.
First, here we go
The
at
first.
the beginning.
Yeah,
the first to connect. Thank you, Michael, to join us and to answer. We love to interact in this kind of podcast. Of course, this podcast is going on Buzzsprout too, but in this moment we are live, so appreciate you, man.
Yeah, and I'll read it out because it is going on Buzzsprout, and thank you for everyone who's joining and throwing in questions and stuff. So Michael Sheehan says, "Hi guys, I just have a question. I'm Irish. I love Italian rugby. What is the biggest thing holding back growing the game in less traditional rugby areas in Italy?" And I think there's obviously that's the age-old question first and foremost, but I think we've had enough of this conversation, me, Ottavio, and everyone else. And I think really what we need to see is Italian rugby starting to disseminate across different areas of Italy, like organically. Obviously, we know the Northeast is incredibly strong. We could probably start looking at like Milan, start improving the quality of Milan. Rome has the largest quantity of registered players outside of the Northeast. Like, we need like, if not a franchise, at least a high elite level team in our capital. We're the only URC team that don't have a franchise in our capital. So
That's open wound for me as a Rome.
it's a proud Roman.
Proud Roma, Ottavio, not his name. I'm
Yeah,
from the south of Italy, but yes, that is crazy if we think about now the development is missing into the capital. So rugby in Rome, yes, we have teams some in different leagues. We had Lazio until last year in the top, but it's something that maybe can change differently. But if I can add something there, I'm out of Italy maybe almost 10 years now, but what's missing? Sometimes infrastructures, sometimes um, there are too many little clubs. They fight each other. They don't put together the ideas to retain the young guys. And in Italy, there's no rugby into schools. There are project, okay, but it's not curricular. Like you don't go and have 2 hours of tennis, 1 hour of PE, and then 1 hour of rugby. You have PE in some bad, usually infrastructure in Italy, playing outside soccer and volley for the girls just because it's easier. And if you have genes, you're not gonna do neither of those because you have genes, so you have something to do. So there's not this culture, even if people loves to go into the club, living in the club. You said Rome, but also think about Benevento, Naples, the Florence area, all around there. There is a good tradition. The area around Parma, which is connected to Zebra now, but they were there before Zebra, before Aironi, and L'Aquila, which was
yeah,
one of the crib. I don't know if this word La Culla, no,
yeah, crib, yeah, yeah.
the rugbyers in the center of Italy on the opposite side.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Right, let's be honest. It's politics which is holding back Italian rugby
It's true. It's true too. It's politics from the clubs,
from the
the
clubs.
difference from the federation. Everybody has to do a step closer to with the main goal, which is growing rugby. That is something huge that we have to do, I think. So
Yeah, yeah. I think sort of self interest a little bit sort of clouds things, but yeah, it's a really good question. Glad you asked it.
yeah, of course. And then I see somebody else, Robbie, don't worry, we're gonna see you again. Don't worry, enjoy your night. But please, if you have some questions, just write it down next time or maybe tomorrow when you're gonna listen us. So that's gonna be the great. Speaking
Yeah.
of greatness, how good is Dino Lamb?
Oh, he just gives us a little bit more, doesn't he?
Without Ruzza, we saw
Yeah.
him without Ruzza. Big Dino.
Yeah, I like even the stuff in the mall, like defensively, offensively, and yeah, he's just someone that we've been needing, and obviously we've got fantastic players as well. It's not because we lack the skills; it's because he plays at Quins in a very similar manner that we want to play in Italy. So it's almost ingrained with him from the past few seasons. Probably been a relatively easy transition for him. So
And he
yeah,
has this so different skill set. If we think about the way, let's think about the try he scored. you see that he is the only one that when he goes into contact to preserve the ball, he goes with tre appoggi, Mike, with the foot plus the hand, and he completely goes so low, so down, and he push in that weird way that was spotted by the South Africans speaking about Munster in URC. But he's the only one he can have like the extra push because he has that balancing with it's dangerous for the arm, but he's so good in that technique. If you rewatch the game, you can see him doing that.
Jake's very good at that as well, wasn't he? Jake Pelledri was very, very good at that.
Pushing down and up, no, that give you the extra. And think about the try, how good they were the support pushing him inside, even with the with the dead body of the Namibian in the middle, and he scored after. No, there was just like a bump of the road in the middle there, but
I really quite. Sorry, go on.
No, it's good. He can move the ball in, almost leave the space open for Odogu in the second half. He's good in both, and he's the general of the line out. Even when Rutsa went off, you can pull up Thizi easier in that way too. So good stuff.
Yeah, big fan of Dino. Big fan of Dino, man.
Let's become fundamental in touch in touching the line out, says Luca. So that's absolutely true.
For sure. And one thing I noticed as well, he looks like he's really enjoying his rugby. The out the back that he tried to do as he was getting tackled to the floor to a Dogwu on the left hand wing.
And he tried to give the ball.
Mate,
that was almost there.
Almost there, man.
Next time Odogo is gonna know he has to keep his hands up because
Sunnyville Lamb is his name now.
Sunnyville, man.
Sunnyville Lamb just
approved. Sunnyville Lamb.
Like you're absolutely right. One thing that impresses me the most out of the Italian team is how good we are at getting our hands through the tackle now. So I wonder if we're going to start seeing slightly more of an offloading game, similar to how Ireland played against Romania when play broke up a little bit, where they were just popping it up and just offloading, not really showing. That was really impressive, and I wonder if that's something that we have in our locker to do as well, because I saw quite a few times we managed to get sort of the offload out of contact,
which was something that we need to create something different, because we know a couple of players that try the offload more. Think about Bruno, for example, Capozzo when he's almost out. We have to be almost ready. Somebody that has to pass the ball before offloading, like the first attack of Italy was Monti Ioane. Give that ball inside to Varney. Let him go, the guy from Gloucester, and then we can score easily instead and overstepping actually, and then trying to offload to Negri that was already covered in the first really clean ball we had. In 3 passes, we create the first line break of the game. There was something really, really good. We have a lot of comments here.
Yeah. Let's work through them.
So I'm gonna finish with Michael. And Michael, if you have other question too, just because thanks for sharing my question. In Ireland, few have made massive strides in the past 10 years or so, growing the sport in traditional non-rugby areas. It is huge now in rural areas. This is great. Now a development in that way, because also let's think about, not all the players came from Treviso area or from Parma area. Think about the captain is from Rome, Fischetti is from Anzio, really close to Fiumicino, where I'm from. Riccioni is from the other side, from Teramo, from Abruzzo. So we have players coming also from the Tuscans, the Cannone. There is Lucchesi. We have from Trieste, which is not Veneto, but we have Nicotera, just to push some names out. Then of course we have the Veneto, the tradition is there, but we can bring players from other areas and they're good. That doesn't mean that it's from that area, so it's not a good one. And then they have the GA too, which is strong, and it's so good for skills. If I have to think about rugby, Tad Furlong used to play GA. So.
And I'm sure you won't mind me calling it out, Michael, but one of my good friends played Irish age grade, a guy called Tom Ferrari, and I remember him saying, so he played Connaught, and he went to Sligo. Well, he was from Sligo, but he was saying that the newspapers were a lot more involved in Ireland. Like, you guys are far more patriotic about your rugby, even if it's at a junior level, just patriotic about your sport in general. So he was saying that when he was selected, the Sligo like newspaper, local newspaper, was writing all of this stuff. I think that's maybe an element which is lacking if you're comparing between Italy and Ireland now. That it's far more
Well, no, of course.
promoted, isn't it?
Yes, but now there is this thing how the Gazzetta dello Sport from Italy spoke about the game of Italy Namibia. It's like, okay, they won, but something like, no, you have to cheer that you won in the World Cup.
Yeah,
As our friend Marco Riccio in a F World Cup is not a walk in the park. And
yeah,
please, we have to do something better than that in the storytelling from the main, because then we know we have our little islands, we have our little website, podcasts, everything that speak about rugby, but on Gazzetta dello Sport you have to be better, showing something.
yeah,
If we won with all, so easier, because then at the end we won an easy game because we were good, not because we were lucky. We were good.
yeah.
We don't
They are
score those
100%
try
agree with you.
in that way.
100%
So
agree with you. Yeah, yeah. It's because we were better.
here we have Robbie that was asking about the nerve, the position of the players. I can show one thing that maybe can help. Let me see if I can bring, so we can see, for example, how we move the ball from different in different areas of the game, like the flow of our path from rack. Okay, so I'm gonna go just to show easy peasy. Then I'm gonna give all the information because I'm finishing this stuff. But this is all the first stuff. Okay, all the part that I'm showing now here, and we can see we don't move so much the ball because we had a lot of first phase attack, like a turnover attack, and we scored with Garbisi, and then we didn't have a lot of balls that we can create more, because look at the first ball was a penalty for us. Then we lost the ball with Negri on contact, and then we had 1, 2, 3 penalties for us, the same bin, and we scored the second try. And then we start kicking the ball. We had the interception was at the end of the game. We had the pick and go and another try. So we did our job at the end, because we had a lot of penalties going for us. We did some mistakes, yes, and we have to be better in that. A couple of knock on by Seb, and then there is another and a couple of kicks. But our kicks in the first half, they were so good. Think about the 50-22 by Garbisi, and the good pressure cook by Nacho Brex from the man that you don't expect, no, because usually we didn't see him quite often to kick the ball, but we did. Some of our players maybe were in the shadow. We didn't see so much. Look at Morisi, but at the end we were there. We give that try in that weird situation, and the bad passes we scored, they were all on advantage play, free play from 2 scrums through free play, and we commit mistakes in a free play with a penalty for us. Anyway, nothing was going to happen because the ball was for us. So that is something we have to underline, in my opinion. Claudio touched the ball really easy. Look at him, Claudio. I'm not gonna read this for now, but you have to watch and go on Fratelli di Rugby on YouTube to read what Claudio said. Okay, this is the way. And look at this
This is the
guy,
way.
man. Let's say hi to Samuele, who is one of the most active in the Discord. Samuele. So Samuele, how are you? Happy to see you here. What about Varney's kicking game? Okay, can I?
Of
My
course, you're
so
Gloucester boy.
the Gloucester man, I was so happy to see Gloucester fan in England versus Argentina. I start start cheering them every time I hear, no, we are from Gloucester. Gloucester. Okay. Anyway, the good Varney's kicking game. Okay. We didn't box kick. Again, no box kicking. We had more territorial game. Varney box kicked. Why? Because he was pinpointed by the was the focus of the restart kick by Namibia, because they want to take the guy off the first phase of attack, because we are so scary in first phase of attack with our exit strategy. So all the balls were down there to Varney. If Varney, one thing can do, not crash into contact, because was the last man just in front of the post, and he has to kick the ball because the option weren't there. On the right, thinking about maybe Allan, and on the left Garbisi, the one right foot and left foot. So that was the way he kick. He kicks not extremely well, but he kicked properly, I can say, because the idea was to move 2 lines forward the attack. That probably something that I think it was interesting to see, but that is being pointed by the Namibia strategy. Let's kick there, don't kick on the right, don't kick on the left, because we don't want them to get easy in shape and attack. They like who was Japan attack on Seb Negri, the guy that if the ball goes on the second line of attack, is the one that's gonna run through the walls. No, so we have that part. And then what else we did? And then another time from the kick restart, they kick on the center of the field, just a little bit on the right, where we are leaving some space that Moanga can attack really well with a little grabber kick, restarting like he did beating Crusaders and the Blues. Something we said in the chat with Leo the other day. Say, look what can happen here, and they kick there. So a couple of stuff. And here somebody wants box kick, more box kick for Italy. Like Luca is saying, can't wait to see Unleashed Varney's box kick with Quesada. Of course, because just remember, Varney knows how to box kick, because
Does it
he
all the
box
time at
kick
Gloucester, doesn't
a
he?
lot. With Gloucester, we have box kick, pressure, tackle, turnover, attack. So we are there.
Skibbs loves a box kick, mate.
Oh yeah, box kick and mauling.
That's
And
it.
then
That's it.
let's see what's gonna happen.
I
absolutely.
said this at the start that I wake up with, a couple watches watching that drive every morning. He watches like every maul before bed, every box kick. That's what he lives for. But yeah, I think Varney's a fantastic player, and I think if they can try and isolate him and take him out early doors from, like you said, the first phase attack, then it's decent strategy from them.
That doesn't mean that, for example, Martin Pagelot doesn't cook good. Actually, you see how the quality of the passes and the kicks of Pagelot, and also the physical presence in defense. He's always there, biting a little bit to the attackers when he's in defense, and that's great. Awesome for a 9 to do that. Great.
Yeah, I'm super impressed with him. I actually hope we see a lot more of him in the coming sort of games. There was a question that I had for you, Otto, which hasn't been posted yet. So obviously New Zealand deployed a short kick strategy, right, to try and I think probably counter the French blitz. They were just trying to sort of take it behind. Is that something for us to worry about, do you think? Like, because that would mean our 9 would have to be sweeping really, really like cleverly and efficiently, and probably taking a lot of meters, a lot of territory. If we don't have ball in hand, what are your thoughts?
So I think we can go like two different approach. One is bringing a strong defender covering behind and keeping the 9 as a shooter in some areas of the field. Because if I'm thinking New Zealand attacking in our own 50s, just outside the 22, maybe there you can see something a little bit different. But if not, I think Garbisi is gonna do a lot of coverage on the back. It's gonna be a lot of cover behind Ioane. That I think is gonna be a focus for a lot of we saw in the last couple of games. Like Ioane, they want to putting him in the corner, let him start again from the corner, so it's easier to defend in that way. And the works of Capozzo, because Capozzo seems like he didn't play a lot of balls, yes, in this game, but he can do that cover so good. He has the stamina, the pace to do that, and the eyes to understand the situation. So
Yeah,
we're gonna have the fluidity of these three players, Garbisi, Pagerello, I can say even more maybe than Varney, but those the 9, the 10, the 15, and the wing, which is where Padovani was helpful, no? Putting
yeah,
Padovani on the wing to cover. We maybe don't have that aerial presence, that physicality in the air, but we can do something. Of course, we're not going to play against Stewart, but we have to do a lot of work there. And Ioane has to be better than the last game when a couple of ball we covered too well, so penalty against us. You think about the penalties we did. That was a silly penalty for us when we made like a obstruction to the player in the hair. That was
yeah,
Ioane. So
yeah.
stuff
It's
like
unnecessary,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of mess there, but we can do better. There is some issues that we can have is there. Absolutely, yes. And they're gonna
Yeah,
try to do something. We can do better. Think
yeah,
about Peno. Peno was one of the best player in this game, but also he give a lot of stuff because 2 tries goes behind him because he goes up and the cover is not there. So between Peno and Ramos, who's gonna cover and how? And we have to prevent. Let's say we have to prevent some issues there.
yeah. No, I'm 100% with you, and I think all this aside, because there's plenty of stuff for us to work on. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't sort of maybe highlight some of the decent attacking phase, albeit I think the one that's highlighted the most is the Capozzo try with the 1-2 at the end with Monti, where there was a couple of occasions where we did very, very well in the line
Yes,
break, which this is what we said last time we spoke, right? We said because we aren't used to reacting to the line break, our decision making hasn't been quite there. Whereas this time we reacted really well. There was loads of support, there was loads of options, but it was almost like there were too many options because Capuozzo could have cut on the inside and there was 3 on
that's
no
true.
one, right? Or he could have passed to Monty, and ultimately we know, if you've played rugby from a young age, that line is another defender. So yes, it's 1-on-1, but you always give the advantage to the defender at that point.
We need more draw and pass from Capozzo because then he did it well after. But in
Yeah,
the
he did.
first, right, so it was too far away from the defender. The defender was able to move and
Drift, yeah.
and drift and slide on the other one. But yes, we can do better. But you know what is interesting? We are creating situational attack in first phase with a classic kind of a like similar set piece every time, because I'm thinking also the game against Ireland this year with Odogu in the field. I remember from line out. No, sadly we cannot show it here, but there was this move going with the 2 wings and the fullback in the last 15 meters attacking crazy. The try we scored against Japan, it's the same. Capozzo, Allan, and Ioane coming and playing in the channel.
Yeah.
This time again in the same way. So there is a lot of good work in striking and understanding how to attack there. And we have to keep going, keep giving different options, different running angles from the players off the ball, and that's gonna be so important for us.
I also think like it is the decision making, and maybe it is
Ooh,
maybe it's more on the supporting runners, right, where they need to say, right, on your right, like 3-0, or like actually just start articulating what's in front of them, because Capuozzo was focused on the defender. He heard Monty, and obviously he's going to pass to Monty because like if you see, I can't remember who was on the outside. I think it was Zuliani. It might have been Lamaro. But anyway, if you hear a forward as opposed to a back, as a back, you're probably inclined to pass the back, and especially if you're right-handed, it's just an easier pass on the like whilst you're running. So it's just the lower risk pass. But then obviously maybe it's the supporting runners to be like, listen, there's no one in front of me. There's no, like, having that communication, like being clearer in the communication as well. So it makes it slightly easier. How good was our scrum?
Was good. We did the numbers what we want to see from our scrum, because as we said, now when we like waste a couple of ball in the air, passing in that way was always with advantage, so like less risk because you play for free, no? And that is something that I think works well against Namibia that tried to do something. And man, I was happy to see back Riccioni really into the game, and it's something that he's ready now, because we were so scared when he got injured a month ago. So that is something that I think, man, yes, we can do good things with him. That was something
I've got to be honest, I think there's going to be a lot of focus on scrums, obviously, because it's tournament rugby. And there was something that I'll highlight quickly, not about the game, but something that is important when we're talking about the dominance in the scrum. And that's how aggressively Eddie Jones was promoting the Australian scrum, saying, I've never had a team play, in any capacity, like basically saying that Australia have a stronger scrum than England. And what he's trying to do there, and I had this discussion with my friends, is he's indirectly speaking to the referees. So if there are any 50-50s, he wants to turn them into 60-40s. He wants to turn them into 70-30s, because, he's speaking about Tupou apparently squatting 300 kilos.
Angus Bell.
He was talking. Well, yeah, he was doing the same, right? They were proper building them up, and that's very smart play, right? Because what you're doing is, like I said, indirectly speaking to the referees, letting you know that you have a dominant scrum, so that if there is anything to go down, chances are penalty is going to go your way. What we did at the weekend is something that we haven't been able to do for a long time, and that's show our dominance. So going into a game like Uruguay, where we can start showing dominance again, right? If we do our processes well there, and we show that we have a dominant scrum against there, it might mean that actually against New Zealand, when there is a 50-50, it might be slightly more in our favour than it has been in the past, because normally us Italian fans, us Italian players, we don't get much rub of the green. So Eddie Jones finding a way of making his own luck is the same thing that we need to do in the next few games and really assert ourselves in the scrum. So it was really, really positive signs to see from us, in my opinion.
No, we have to do it. And actually, it's good that you brought the Uruguay game, because this is going to be so interesting to watch the game. It's going to be the first game tomorrow, actually, between France and Uruguay. And the lineups are yes. Shall we speak a little bit about the team, just so we can see a little bit of Uruguay? So first of all, I can share the screen. So
I was literally about to ask if we can share it quickly.
No problem. Our friends World Rugby on the website. We can show the website, man. If we cannot show the website.
Of course. They're
no videos, guys, but yes, at least this. And we are playing fantasy rugby. That is another word. But let's see a little bit. Of course, France goes with a second team, second choices, if we have to think, plus some of the best they have anyway.
Like Gelange coming back. Wow.
Gelange as a captain, Sekou Makalu, and then they have Kofi Fenua and Woki. Just to...
So just as a funny joke, like me and my friends call Makalu the lizard man, because like he is a genetic freak. It's like he was made in a lab. He's like, it's like he was made in a lab, and the way he runs as well, it's like an Olympic sprinter.
It's so good.
He's a dangerous man.
It's dangerous. So I'm wondering also what's gonna happen if they're gonna try to do something weird against us in a moment of the game. Like, okay, let's bring Magalu against Capozzo. No, that kind of mismatch, doing something weird, just in case they need it. They can find other way to use them. They use it actually, even with France. They use it as a wing. I remember in a game, probably I don't remember if it was on my channel now or the previous one, but there was that Makalu playing on the wing. It was crazy last.
No, that was last Six Nations. He played on the wing.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. He's a freak, mate. He's just so quick.
It's so quick.
It's the way he runs, though. Like, so it's the strides. Like he
steams.
I had a coach. I had a coach which once described one of our wingers as eating ground, and that's what he does. Like his foot just eats the ground, just tears away.
Absolutely. And think about, this is the second team of France, no? And then we have European Champions Cup winner Anthony Astori. We have Bugari in the camp. So happy to see Arthur Vincent back, because this guy is so good. Luis Bielbarri, actually World Cup winner under 20 this year with France, and then maybe who knows if he's gonna do the double World Cup winner under 20 and the senior team. Melvin Jaminet, we know, and Capozzo knows him really well, because Capozzo moved to the wing because for Ramos and for Jaminet in the back, so Capozzo always moved there. But on the other side, because we're gonna fight against this good, at the end is a good team, Uruguay. Santiago Rata is back and is one of the 9 French players, the number 9, that play a really key role into this team. He is the guy that knows how to attack around the rack, so we have to be really careful around there. He was the one that scored against Fiji when Uruguay upset the world last World Cup against Fiji. And they are saving some players, because I'm going to show you here. Let's see. They have Ignacio Dotti, and then Felipe Berchesi out, Facundo Gattas out. They are good player, and they left Gaston Meigres out of the team for now. He's one of the most experienced fullback they have now, and the young Baltasar Amaya is gonna play. Nicolas Freitas, it's good too, and he moved on the wing, even if he can play center. So they're trying to do something really, really strong there. So we have to watch it really close, this game.
I'll say Arrata came back from a broken
injury
hand.
Yes, absolutely. So
that was 6 weeks ago, though, right?
I think so. Man, I was thinking he was going to try to play against us, not before us.
Well, I think it's a bit of a risk, isn't it? Like,
it is a risk, but like Jelonch, came back after Jelonch with like Colisi. If you think about Colisi, that was in the same situation as Jelonch. So
yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is going to be a game that I think we're all going to focus on quite a lot. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be. I wonder how much Uruguay are going to plan on showing, because if we look back in 2021 when we last played them, our A team played them first, and I think it was like 63 something, 63-5, 63-7, something like that. And then our first team played straight after, and it was completely different. Well, it was the same team playing, but it was a completely different style. Like they caused us a lot of trouble. So I wonder how much we're actually going to see of them in this French game, and how much they're going to probably try and keep for us
I
in
don't want to bother you, but if you want to see the stats of that game against
shoot,
Uruguay, I
shoot,
have
shoot,
it.
shoot.
Okay, let me open something. And Mike, let's while I'm opening some stuff, I want to
Samuele.
remember
Yeah.
was saying Samuel. Let me see
I,
what
I
Samuel
was going to
said.
say Samuele. We'll go on to the
Genois.
fantasy. We'll go on to the
Oof.
fantasy later.
My first 5 man betray me. I can say that. I was happy
Yeah,
with the other ones, but guys, just remember we post also our top of the week, top 15 on our Instagram on Fratelli _D _rugby. You can see, and you can guess who pick who, because there are 3 different teams actually. That was pretty cool too, in my opinion, to have such a different point of view about the rugby of the round one. So go on Instagram, go subscribe and share on Fratelli di Rugby. Let's grow here, because if you miss it, last podcast we had Dave Sisi from the Italy's camp before the game. So Big Dave, the fridge, overrated in the starting from the bench
bless
with the
him.
hot man. Such a great man, Dave. So
Such a lovely
damn
man.
Dave. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
it's
he's
fun.
he's
He knows
he's
what
an
he's doing.
interesting man as well to listen to, because like he has so much passion for the Italian movement and the game, and yeah, he's just a good guy, just
Of
generally
course,
good guy.
if it's the first time you're seeing watching us live on the channels, check for Fratelli di Rugby podcast, and the Italian Rugby podcast is there for you, for your pleasure and for your audio ears. So anyway, let's go on the game against Uruguay. That
Uruguay.
was possession like crazy, and from there we can build. So I'm gonna just let me open Google Sheets,
Yeah, yeah,
and we
yeah.
are ready to, because we have everything, and we can see also the team that was, because we have everything about this. I'm ready for those stats. I'm missing some of the new stats, Mike, because they change the way they're presenting the stats, but I'm doing some work. Let's see if this open. So this we don't need
In the
it anymore.
meantime,
This
what I'm
needed.
going to do is I'm just going to quickly open up my the Rugby World Cup fantasy for when we're doing it, just so I don't show
Oof,
you who my current team
fantasy.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's right. Okay, let me see. So it's opening. It's gonna take a couple of minutes. Samu, tell
No
us
worries.
your team in the meantime. Come on,
Yeah, yeah,
let
yeah.
me
How'd you get
understand
on?
which one is the right one. Uh, because I was
Also,
happy with my backs, but
I've got to be honest. I did better than I thought I was going to be. Thought I was going to do. I thought, in fairness, I was very confident in my team, but I did a lot better than I thought I was going to. How
okay.
many of the guys listening? How many of you guys use the boosters? Be honest. Be honest,
I
guys.
didn't. I did not use boosters.
Like,
Man, I went
you know,
crazy. I went with the 10. My 10 was the Chile woman.
yeah, scored. He scored like my friend Ellis messaged and he was like, how's Ottavio
Yes.
doing? Like he wants to beat you as well. That's the that's the plan, is it? Like no one really. If we win the league, great. But everyone just wants to beat the stat man. That's the
Yeah,
level right now.
Dave said the same. Come on, I'm not so good at the fantasy.
Yeah,
We're
you
gonna
are.
see
You are.
that.
You're the stat man,
Let
man.
let me see. Let me see here. Okay, let's go. Uruguay 2021. This was the game against. Let me see if this pop up. Such a nice picture, Stemi Radradra and George North at the end of that crazy game. That was a crazy game. So Uruguay. Oh, here we go. The number 10. Here we go. Was the victory, the only victory in that November 2021 after losing against New Zealand and Argentina. We were just starting. It was the third game with Kieran Crowley on. So it was, let's say, the old style of play of Italy, because we switch, let's say, after this against France, we start changing. But this specific game, okay, we went with 49 of possession, 56 of territory. So we we played there, but with less ball. Time in possession. Let's see. For example, we end then with Scotland 23 minutes. We had 16 minutes of possession against Uruguay, and let's see the sad stats in this, because I remember where to go see. This is all the time in the opposite end on the possession, time in on half. Okay, but let's go see point per visit. And we were so close, 1.6. Okay, you see the improvement we had along the time, 1.6, and then let me move it here. Okay, 1.6 against France, 1.8, and then 1.9, 1.9, 5. And we start scoring from behind, from the exit strategy. So change a lot. But the Uruguay, here we go.
It was the start, wasn't it?
We look how low was the percentage of kicking we had. Something so close to our style of kicking now, because we kick well, but we don't kick like more than 10%. Something that is like controcorrente, Mike. How we can say controcorrente? Like is against
against like sort of
trend.
the current, the current trends,
against the controcorrente. Total passes 180. We look how few we did against France and how against Scotland 221, for example. And it was last year, because then without going down. But the bad passes were there, something we have to be much more accurate. Let's remember one of the best game we had was against Wales, when we won for nothing. We won, but we won, and Samoa and Australia 2-5-8, not 11 like against Uruguay. For example, we was really,
we also
really
had
good.
lot
of offloads.
I was gonna say we also had a lot more possession in the Samoa and Australia game than France per se. Wales per se.
Sorry, Wales. And then handling errors always there a lot when we try to play more and more. But this was the game that we were so afraid to lose this game. If you think we were so close, the game was tight between two. I want to say thanks to Hame Faiva for that so important turnover he scored again for us. It was like scoring a try, actually, when they were trying to attack.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, let me go see
was that his debut, Uruguay?
I think so.
I'm
gonna look right now. I'm gonna open just the team so we can see who played that game, because we have convocati starting. Okay, here we go. The starting against Uruguay. Man, we have everything. This is how we change during the years. But let's go back. Let's go back 2000. So the team against was Fischetti, BG Nemer, Fuser, Ruzza, Negri, Lamaro, Stein, and Braley. That was the last game of Braley, I think, with the national team.
Yeah,
because
I think
then we start with Barney. No, sorry, he ends with against the Wales. Last game was against Wales because Barney was injured. Remember that?
You're right.
Then Garbisi, Ioane, Morisi, Brex, Bruno. So some of them remember how they were, and maybe a little bit of revenge into them. Think about Fischetti, Ruzza, Negri, Lamaro, Garbisi, Ioane Morisi, Brex, and Bruno, what they want to do in this game. So these are the players that literally remember how bad was that game, because it was a bad game. We won, but was like saved by the bell, almost, we can say.
Yeah, pulling teeth a little bit, wasn't it, by the end?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the situation. So tomorrow is going to be an interesting game. Let's see how many injured, how many red cards, because these are the things that can happen in these games. So
sadly,
right?
I suppose there's no point hiding from it. We're going to have to talk about some of the inconsistencies, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Inconsistency, the right word.
It's the only thing we can ask for as fans, is just a bit of consistency, right?
I want like I know a robot that say touch contact with the head. I don't care. You go out.
Yeah,
Let's do it like that.
it's
It's
tough,
it's
right?
sad to say, no, but
Yeah,
so many option mitigation. I can understand sometimes the dropping of the eight, no, going down quickly without realizing, but sometimes it's also a really bad, like,
starting
uh,
position.
s- man. For me, Curry was a bad starting position.
It was.
You can crunch him in two half the player if you just go one, two steps behind and
The,
smash them.
the word is reckless. Like, let's be honest. Like, Curry didn't he didn't go out to clash heads with him because obviously
No,
he did his own
absolutely.
damage as well. Like, so people were saying that it was like a vicious attack and stuff. That they're just that it was a
No, no,
mistake. It was
absolutely.
reckless. It was a red. But and the but is there's so many other reds,
So
which
many.
just
That's
were
true. So
overlooked. I
many,
was yeah.
or like forgotten red cards, like the Creel ones. We're
Oh,
not,
like Dan
man.
Bigger. If Dan Bigger had done it on anyone but Semi Randrada, um, they would have gone down. They would have gone down. They would have milked that red card. That was a red card. And
Yeah.
then what annoyed
The
me the
roll
most,
so they said too. There was one by him.
yeah, yeah, that one I'm less convinced about because like he hits the ball first, the ball dislodges, and then he hit
And
like. But the initial tackle was legal. It was probably a penalty, maybe a yellow card, but not a red
you
card.
know what it reminds me? The Roland Stickle. I know it's a little bit different scenario, but it's more on the Farrellish, the last tackle that he got, like going there, going for the ball and smashing with the shoulder. I know Farrell is Farrell, so everything is wrong what he does, but not for me in general. But
Yeah,
it's that style, not going up there. But the other ones, it's face against face. Man,
yeah,
you have to go low. So,
yeah. Like
uh,
Faz is very good at attacking the ball, and for me, you said it was Roland's, right?
yeah,
For me, he
number four.
dislodges the ball. If he didn't dislodge the ball, he never would have made like head contact. So for me,
That's true.
that's penalty, maybe yellow card, not a red. Mitigations there because
But
the first contact was on the ball.
the
Um,
yellow is good there. For
yellow,
example, like it's
yellow would have
fair.
been fine.
So
Yeah, yellow would have been fine. Yellow would have been fair.
I would
Um,
have liked to show the yellow card to Reinal. Who was Reinal? No, the second game with Kriel. Like the team, hey, go look. We saw them. So go look and show us what's up. Show to the referee what's there. We have this bunker. Let the bunker works properly. I think. No, because
yeah,
then red cards do not ruins game. If you think how came out England against Argentina, it's more suspense, it's more history, it's more storytelling about that team was 14 man, one man's down, and they scored 3 drops, and the Argentina melted. Great, awesome, but
I've got to be honest. I watched the game again last night, the England game. I watched the Italy game again this morning, but I watched the England game last night. And what really impressed me was, normally if you've had a couple of placid attacks and you're going backwards because they've had some dominant contacts, people just kick it up in the air. Like they'll kick it up in the air, or they'll kick for the corner, and they'll go for territory. England didn't apply to England that game. Like if as soon as like the attack stalled, they just go on, mate, pop it over. Like I wonder if we have it in our locker to do that because it is a very very impressive skill set, isn't it?
with the way they work with the eyeball was from the stadium, well, unbelievable, because every time you give the ball to them, you have a really massive player in the hair to throw, which is Stewart. And
Yeah,
but also the way he was trying to create to go, he sometimes he wasn't going for the ball to catch the ball, he was there trying to like a
like a basketball, try and knock
volleyballer,
it back.
like a basketballer, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
From there, let's create panic into defense, scramble defense, attack from there, fast with the daily, with everybody. Something that really apply to South Africa. Think about the way they score against Wales with the Mason Grady that passed the ball backwards, or like forward, actually, and then Creel score. That was, let's create chaos in the air with Kanamudi, and from there, boom, 2 passes and we score down there. Weren't able to do that, but man, how hard is to go against a player that is so dominant in the air.
Yeah,
That
no,
that is a key. And then fourth was he warm up dropping goals. So
yeah, I'm sort of hoping that Pani becomes that player for us
ooh,
because he's quite tall. He's 6'2", 6'3", isn't he? He's a tall lad.
and
And
it's physical, has a good physicality.
yeah. I mean, obviously, he needs to like he's very young. He needs the experience, but I'm hoping that he can fit that mold for us, like the Steward-esque sort of, dominant in the air,
Absolutely.
tall, physical presence. He's very good getting up. I think long term, I'd love to see that. But yeah, I think that England game was interesting. It was definitely one of the ones which will go down as a bit, like you said, a bit of like a mythology, or like
Yeah, absolutely. I think, but because also all the Falklands, Malvinas history, man, the Argentinians, they go around with the flags saying Malvinas are Argentina, something that it's pain and blood for them.
oh yeah,
It's
it's visceral, isn't it?
nationalism too. It's
Yeah.
so hard. I don't think in UK it's so hard. I understand was war and everything, but they feel it so much, so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. There's the odd people that do, that are
But here, the
overly.
young people, that's the
Yeah,
point.
young
In
people. Oh, the young people don't care. Yeah. It's
The
probably
Argentinian
identity for
young
them.
people, it's
Yeah,
identity, it's nationalism
I
for
mean,
them.
yeah, like
Then let's
not
understand how
to.
good can be the nationalism there, but it's something they feel, something
Yeah,
in that game.
but also it's the like if they're drawing parallels from that particular battle, right? It's the
Oof,
manner that they lost, which is probably something which burns
absolutely.
them, like because
Yeah.
like they
And
just sent some SAS guys,
yeah,
and that was. But not to speak about I think it's one of those where if they're already drawing parallels, because that's a source of like power for them, like the source of emotion, and we know we're Latin, like descent. All of the Southern American teams are, and like having that Latin passion where we can draw, our strength from emotion is probably quite a
oh,
powerful
absolutely.
parallel for them, right? So for them, it's like going into battle and doing that. I
Can be
see
like,
Luca sent a quick message. Otto, if we can
oh, no, let's see. Yeah, of
bring that
course.
up.
Let me open here. Oh, let's see. Speaking about this game, do you think Smith will miss in the 23 when Farrell come back? Who?
Do you want to go first?
You want to go first? I'm
I've got my
thinking.
thoughts on it.
Oh, you already go, and then I'm trying to jump in. Go ahead,
So
Mike.
for me, I don't think the Marchant Manu centre partnership works. I think Marchant anticipates Manu's movements very well, and he's very good at like going with him. So like he's very good at like blitzing with him if he needs to. Like he's just very aware of Manu, but England lack that attacking threat because they can't get the ball through to the danger men out wide, competently enough, cleanly enough, quickly enough. So for me, it would be Ford, Faz, Smith on the bench,
And
and
tell me the rest of the players, because I think 11
me.
daily.
You think Daly up? They
The Saracens connection is so good between playing first and second layer of attack. Those two players in the diamond shape.
oh,
Fast
yeah, I'll
daily,
give you
daily
my
fast.
I'll give you my England best. I think for me it's Genge, George, and then I think it's the old boy Coles.
Absolutely. What a gamer is there.
He's just had a fantastic season as well. And then I think if I look at second row, I think it'll probably be Itoje, Chesham, and then I think Laws as 6, especially now with Curry out.
Who's
And
your
then
7?
for me,
Tom,
like
Willis, or Ben Earl?
Well, you won't like this. I know this isn't a popular thing. My friends don't like this, but Ludlow at 8 and Earl at 7 for me.
Oh, Lewis Ludlow, I'm happy with that.
Ludlam, sorry, Ludlam, not Ludlam. Well, Ludlow, the first game for England, he was captain. He need that poor Canadian prop in the face, bless him. But no, Ludlam came on 15 minutes, made 16 tackles.
One tackle at minute, but more than that. But pam. And the game was in play less. Now the stats were saying that.
He's like a rugby league prop, my friend. It's like a rugby league prop. And then I would have Mitchell, Ford, and then the ones we've already said. And then I
11,
suppose
14,
Stewart,
15
Stewart. And then I personally, this is why I said really daily. I would potentially have Malins on the other wing, potentially. I don't understand what Malins has done wrong. First of all, he plays fullback. Secondly, he's scoring tries for fun in the Premiership, scoring tries for England for fun. I don't know. Maybe is he injured? Like, is there something I missed?
No, man. It was in the field warming up. For example, I was thinking, oh, look at him. I forgot him. And it was Malins there.
I just don't like. He's just such a well-rounded player.
He's good, but like underrated. You think? In general, from general watching or from the team, because he was in the team and I think he played the last. Let me see. He played a lot of the last games for
the next name that everyone wants on the field for England is Arundel, and Henry is a talented young man. I was very, very surprised to find out how strong he is as well. He's one of the strongest players, full stop. He's outlifting some of the forwards, and he's 21 years old. He's an impressive man, but
so man,
if you don't give him time at test level, you can't really throw him in at like the elite test level. So he'd be good. He'd be a good player against Japan. He'd be a really good player to watch against Japan.
Oh, that is the game that he can target now to be one of the players. But for example, now I was looking at Malins. Malins played the Summer Nation Series. So the last 3 games, play against Wales twice and one against Fiji. And then, mamma mia, he scored a lot of tries this year too. He scored 15 tries the whole season. 15.
Yeah. He's, like I said, he's
from 22 games, 24 games. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a quality player, mate. And
4 matches, 2 tries for England.
Here's an
this is Angelo. This is Mr. Ian. He is the good man.
Hey, he is absolutely right.
How much space can find Marcus Smith for his game with Twilage and Marchant on the field? Both wants the ball in hands, and the distribution of Twilage is not the best thing we know about him.
That's the issue. So it's not like Esterhuizen.
Exactly. There, let's go there, because Esterhuizen offer different options. The kick too, in case you need the big boot, huge. Silver, buonasera. And so I think that is something different, and that's why you need if you want to do something crazy in a game against, man, you move Stewart at center. Oh my god, I would love him, but
my friends have been saying it for weeks,
like a Jordi Barrett style.
They were like, for weeks, get him outside center for weeks, get Manu on the inside. I'm like,
Manu inside, Stewart outside center. I was thinking 12.
No,
13 with a 12.
They were saying 13 because then, if, for example, he has to cover the backfield, he can go out, and then Daly can cut in, and it just makes that, it almost makes an additional pendulum, if that makes sense, like an additional player that can go. Absolutely.
That's a good idea. But I was thinking also moving the number 12, moving Stewart on the wing.
Yeah.
bringing Marcus Smith in against Japan, you can do it if you play well the first half and try something weird with because now you're not gonna have Faz, but with Faz at 12, bringing a fullback that move, and you just keep Marchant on, and Twilaji you switch way to play later on.
That would
That's
be
something
gnarly.
then, but you can have a guy there, and Angelo. We spoke every day with Mister Ian, no, but I can tell you, yeah, it's so good Marchant in the reading, even better than Daly. But Daly can go in. Daly can go in and play. They have liquid, like we were saying before. Now about Italy, we want to see that liquid kind of attack. Everybody change position, but still having the idea and the support and everything. I think that is something that they can do with England. Some
Yeah.
games we also one of the best way they improve was when Twilaji moved to 13 at the last World Cup and Farrell was at 12. And that
Well,
you
do you want
have
to
the
hear something
smasher and
interesting?
the hands.
Do you want to hear something interesting? If that
Yeah.
combination is played again this World Cup, that's the third World Cup that they've had the same combination. Because in 2015 it was George Ford, Farrell, Manu Tuilagi, and then obviously Faz came out, and then there was the whole sort of, I suppose, depends which side you sit on, fiasco or geniusness with getting Burgess in. But genuinely,
That's crazy.
if you look at the 2019
12 years.
World Cup
Man,
team,
it's 12 years of
mate,
them.
the 2019 World Cup team, right? Genuinely, right, has so like many players from the 2015. So Lancaster built the team, and then
Yeah,
Eddie just
absolutely.
inherited it and he did his own thing.
Johnny
But
May, which is always still in the team at the end. Daly, Ford, Twilaji, Farrell, who else?
Coles, Marchant. Sorry, not Marchant.
No,
Marla,
Marchand.
George.
That's true. Yeah,
Like the front rows
it's
unchanged.
unbelievable if we
Laws,
think.
Itoje.
Itoje lost all them, and then there are like now because there's not the Vunipolas. Because those two were also two huge players, but they're out of selection now. But in general, do you think England is gonna keep sticking to the 2003 style?
No, they can't. It just won't work against the power teams. England are a team
They can
that
be
will
so
win.
clinical in that way, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is
The
this:
swing low.
they're just good at bullying bullying teams. Like the defense was fantastic. They looked fit, and I read something really interesting actually that I wanted to bring up with you. So apparently they were on double sessions during the summer.
Warm up, the summer.
So they were making them do 2 test matches equivalents on GPS and exertion before they played a game. So the intention was, where everyone's like, oh, they look knackered, they look unfit. Apparently it's because they had a game's worth of fitness on the Tuesday before the Saturday. So they were
wow.
So they were over. It's called overload training, right? So they were overload training them like throughout the whole time, and I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw the game that they just did against Argentina against 19 men. Against 14 men
14.
for 80 plus
70s,
minutes. If you look at it,
yeah.
well, it was the third minute, and they played additional time at the end, didn't they? So like, I don't know, man. I just think England are going to be a team that are dangerous against teams that they can bully. Can they bully France? Can they bully New Zealand? Can they bully South Africa? Those are the things. For me, they might even be able to bully Australia, but I don't. That's the game, isn't it? That's the game we want to see. If England go through,
yes.
that's the game we want to see.
Yes, please. I want to see that game. I want to see
Master
that
and
game.
Apprentice, Dark Side versus the Light. It's all there, isn't it?
Jan Solo against Darth Vader.
That's it. That's it. Oh, the
even
meme.
against Yoda. Against Yoda, and I'm
we're ready
to you. Who's Yoda in that
that's
fight?
It. We're ready on that. He, to be fair, like he's a few wrinkles off Yoda, but it's not too far. It's not too far. The small, weird, wrinkly man that talks funny.
Yeah, mate. So Ollie Lawrence is the other guy that against us had one of the best game this year. He was always the Twilagy mold looking into this first into centers, which is so hard to find. And Ollie Lawrence is a good option, but we have to see different from Six Nation. No, like Dave Sisi was saying to us, Six Nation is something, World Cup is another thing. Is the
Yeah.
next and last level you can play, and then you can play in your dream the best game of your life. But there is understanding because man, I never watched him in Rome for the Six Nations, but looking at him, like you see Twilagy, you see Ollie Lawrence live, and you say, "Holy moly, the guy is strong, looks huge bulk. You can say
Yeah.
really ready to smash everything, and he's gonna just get the ball and run into space, run on the 10. That's gonna be a good option, also to keep everybody fit and everybody resting in the right moment of the next games. That is so important. And then still Ian with Mitchell, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to quickly just on the Ollie Lawrence point, right? I've watched him a few times live. I've watched him, like, I've been a big advocate of Ollie Lawrence for a long, long time, and I'm glad he's obviously had his opportunity to play for England because I do think he's a top player. My one concern for him is exactly the same concern about Manu, and that's their ball playing skills as opposed to what he can do, because we know what Manu can do. We know what young Ollie Lawrence can do, and it's very similar. Like you said, it's the same mold. But does that mean that what combinations? You have to have a ball player at 12, then, don't you? If not, again,
No,
same issue with the backs. Like, when and where are they going to get the ball? It's going to have to be passed out by Steward, which means Steward's going to be out of position, and if the ball's turned over, it means it's going to be an easy kick over. So there's so much risk play. Like, if we talk about risk reward, about how England have to play, either they play like us, where we have the playmaker out back and it's very high risk and potentially high reward, or as a more sort of conventional, conservative team, which England are, they want to have
rack after
12.
rack after rack, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
moving
yeah.
the ball out
Yeah,
when needed.
Yeah. So
What's gonna be the surprise there? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, my last point on this would be, there's one player who I think is potentially going to be a very, very talented player. He plays for Amped Hill. He's an under-20s player, Marzai White. He was in the
Marzai
under-20s.
White.
Yeah.
It's good, that guy.
He's
it's another mold.
Very good. His dad, I
skillful.
think his dad was the Tongan captain. Don't quote me on that, but I think he was the Tongan captain, and he played in the Premiership. And
yeah, Mazi White. I remember also Greg Fisilau, but for the forwards in the last England team. Yeah, really good. Mazi White.
He looks so good.
And Faso Gabon, the prop, because it's for Gloucester this year, no? So.
Yeah. So that's it. Sorry, Otto, go ahead.
No, it's good. I'm thinking, because you said, like, who can go like as a first receiver playing on the back. Man, there is something quite interesting, not in the last game, but in the warm-ups game, when Ben Earl goes in the wide channel, maybe goes on the left, and there is a rack only on the 15 meters, and the ball goes right. Ben Earl doesn't care about what's happening on the rest of the field. He goes and pick position, and Daly goes in playing first receiver or behind the pod, and that is something that give you that space to play with the playmaker just a little bit farther from the gain line, and you have still the hard runner like Twilagy, for example, and from there you have the rest of the team. So you have strong catcher of the ball hunters, we can say, like can be Arundel, we can be Marchant, Stewart, and the opposite wing. In that case, they can go all there, and that's something interesting. The way they switch, Ben Earl going like playing like a wing, and for a couple of phases, the first man playing, it's Daly. Daly does the same work with Saracens in the diamond shape. That's something interesting that can be like an option to give double hands more hands, more playmaking in some situation in attack. Of course, we know how little can be Elliot Daly, but man.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting concept as well. And I suppose it's like what we were doing with Ruzza, last
or
year, right?
or Cannone that goes
Or yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Or
they
Dino
cover.
in the summer, where he was
Absolutely.
shifting out to the wing as well a little
Yeah,
bit.
and we overlap with all the players in
Yeah,
that side.
yeah, no,
Absolutely.
that's a really interesting point as well. Sorry, I saw Ian posted a thing, and then I think make
Man,
this our last
Mitchell.
question on England. I think.
Man, Mitchell was so good in the last couple of years. Think about the way he attacks around the fringes, for example, and he was more consistent than maybe a Randall of other nines that came out. Rafi Quirk. I think I love them, but man, he was the most consistent at the end of the time of the season. Think about Northampton, what he does with Finn Smith.
For me, I struggle because I think Ben Spencer is quite possibly one of the best nines to never get 20 odd caps for England.
Credit. Never get credit because he arrived just at the end, like Will Hines.
So obviously him and Faz clearly some like obviously this is speculation. I don't know, but clearly there's something wrong there, right?
Doesn't click.
Well, they won everything together. Like obviously he was at Saracens before he left. They won everything together. He was the best nine in the country by a country mile, and he wasn't getting picked for England. Don't know if it's an Eddie thing. Clearly not, because he was invited in and he wasn't proceeded with Borthwick. But I think, like, for me anyway, like I'm not a Saracens fan. I'm a Quins fan, right? I don't understand how he wasn't picked all those years where they're absolutely dominating everything. I think he's such a good player, and I think actually, if we're going to compare like for like, Mitchell and Ben Spencer, very similar players. Although Ben has got a fantastic boot, like he kicks at goal, he does all of that additional stuff, like a French nine, yeah.
And he showed more. He was in Bath with Bath, right? Last
yes.
When Bath wasn't the Bath that now we saw after the collapse of Wasps and Worcester, that Bath was sucking, man. Wasn't that good team with the history? Right? The results were there. Still, but Spencer was doing his job.
He's a good player, man.
It's a good one.
And I think to your point about Rafi as well, I'm a massive fan of Rafi. Like, if we're going to compare nines, right? So I say Ben Spencer and Alex Mitchell, very similar. Rafi Quirk, Cobus Reinach, very similar nines. Like, quick, powerful, like destructive. Like, if you give him an inch, like, people forget he's 20 years old or 21 now, maybe. Rafi Quirk has got a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, that's the good point about those players. They can go in the next cycle, next 2 cycles, 3 cycles. Who knows?
Yeah,
they can
be
the next.
No, you're right. If it's anything by Ben Youngs to go by, like 10 cycles, Ben Youngs, right?
Ben Youngs in the next
World Cup, he's going to be in the next World Cup starting.
Man, seriously, Ben Youngs, whatever you wanted and you needed, Ben Youngs is there for you. Okay, I'm here. Yeah,
that's it.
Calls me.
He's going to be retired 4 years, and then like they're just an injury is going to happen.
They're going to call him like Mornestein style.
Him and his family are farmers, so he's just going to be like in the tract. He's like, "Sorry, you want me to do what? Okay, yeah, I'll get my boots. All right, just fly over to Australia."
He's gonna just start throwing a box of hay somewhere just to train, moving after moving.
It's like a Rocky compilation.
Yeah, kind of.
Shall we quickly speak about Ireland and wrap up?
Oh yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Because probably we're gonna split into this podcast. We had all the Italian part, and then we went to the rest of the game.
Hey, I've enjoyed my time, and hopefully the people that stuck around have as well. But
I see 17 people connected between the two channels. Let me remind, last time, yes, I know, guys, nobody pay me for this to say, but come on, guys, Fratelli di Rugby podcast. Go on YouTube, Fratelli di Rugby. You can find a lot of contents, shorts, interviews, full podcast, live streaming, a watch along. and fantasy rugby. So we have loads of stuff over there.
Yeah.
Just click subscribe and you're done.
Got some
And
cool
you do
plans
your
coming as
job.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have all the season, URC season coming, and more stuff. But
Keep an eye on this space.
yes.
So,
Mike, go ahead.
well, we know it's a bit of a nothing game, right? And we knew that we knew what to expect from poor Romania.
Yeah,
But
just the pride, just the pride. I said Vauvaza invent a couple of good stuff there, but they so I didn't read and I have to check this, but actually the whole teams fight at least the first half, let's say the tier 2, tier 1.5, they fight pretty well.
yeah,
So that is something really interesting. But then the fitness and the quality came out, like when they start scoring loads of try at the end of the game, when Van der Fleer came in, McCarthy, man, they did. Tyke Burner had one of the such a
he's
game
just
he
a
had.
fantastic player, isn't he?
Sexton being Sexton in everything, being in the good and in the bad. Being
I want to
mad at
say
the
one thing
late
on
tackle.
Sexton, right?
Please.
Because it came up everywhere, and this is quite, I suppose, a divisive comment. But if you are going to run for the try, and then you start slowing down and jogging, expect to get clattered, because that's what happened, my friend.
Smash him. If
You
I
play to the whistle. Rule 101: always play to Sexton. Learn your lesson. You're old enough. Learn your
agree,
lesson, my friend.
agree. So if you're not quick, I can smash you until the end. And if you're jogging, man, I want to eat you harder than before. Too, no? Before I'm going on the ball, now I'm going straight on the rib cage.
Well, I'll add this, right? Like, so Jack, my Irish friend, obviously was quite upset by it, and I was like, oh, okay. So new rule is, if Sexton is near the line, everyone stops. No one's allowed to tackle Sexton, just in case.
Don't touch him. Bubble wrapping.
Bubble wrap. That's it. As soon as he's off, they get a few of the cells and they clone him for the next game. But yeah, I was going to say,
do you think he's going to play the next game too to be fit, or what?
No, I don't think. I think
because one is done.
Yeah, if they're well, here's the issue with Ireland, and this is what I said as well. They have such amazing depth that they can, mix things around. But if we've learned anything from Leinster, the past 2 seasons, right, when it comes to the URC playoffs, they cycle through their teams and then they play against a battle-hardened South African team who have been playing their best players to get to the final, and every time they just look off pace. So it's one or two ways, right? You rest players and you risk not injuring them and, doing, the smart thing, let's be honest. Or you play players and you risk injuring them, which is never a good thing. But if they don't get injured, they're battle hardened. The cohesiveness is there because they played more minutes together.
More time together. That's true.
And so there's a balance, man. Like for me, if I was a coach and they had the amount of rest that they have for the Scotland game, yeah, I'd play him. I personally would play him. I don't know how much time I'd give him. I'd probably see if I'm like 2 or 3 tries ahead, I'll be like, okay, go on, get Crowley on.
Yeah, Crowley looks smooth, looks ready.
It's like Costello. He looks like a good player as well.
Yeah, that face, that Francois May style of face, the one that I know what I'm doing. Don't worry, I'm gonna try the way to. Ben Healy is on the same way. Yeah, so think about people that grow up in Ireland. No, even if they play for Scotland now, but they are those players that they know what they're doing. They feel confident and not worried at all. Something that it's really important. Even like if I play against a player that smile, that is concentrated all the time, like Peter O'Manoy, think about Irish people, man, you're not effed, but almost, because you have that doubt. Like you see him, he's still there. He doesn't like Saxton. Come on,
Yeah.
angry, ready to do something like that. But at the end, if you think Vauvasa, after all that zigzag he did in the field, who tackled
I mean,
him? I know they met each other in the middle of the way, we can say, but was Saxon, no? That
yeah.
tackled him.
Yeah. I think for me, right, like there's a couple of things probably only worth mentioning about Ireland, and that was like for those of you guys, the Southern Hemisphere guys who are listening, like that was Ireland in like third gear, genuinely.
Oh yeah,
I saw.
and still looks terrifying,
Well, that's it. I saw a lot of the like more prominent Southern Hemisphere. I say Southern Hemisphere, like Kiwi podcasts, and they were like, "Oh well, yeah, Ireland looked impressive, but they only scored 82." Like that was Ireland. That was Ireland. The heat probably came into it. There was a lot of like handling errors, all of that stuff, similar to us, right? You know, a little bit of rust, you
But
can say.
man, but it's also thinking, come on, they're playing a free flow without any structure at certain point of the game, just playing, just offloading, because
Offloading,
you
yeah,
are allowed to do that kind of play when
yeah,
poor Romania is in the middle,
yeah,
like we did the
yeah,
same. So
yeah,
it's not something, oh my god, look what. No, they allowed you to at the end of the game, so you take the points, and then and you try that. You don't have to be, oh my god, is coming Dupont covering there, and Ramos is already in position, or Kinghorn is covering and Van de Merwe is gonna run against me. No, with all the respect again, but so you, you play free
yeah, yeah,
because you
yeah,
already closed the game. You have to close it, even with
yeah.
if Romania fight until the end of the game. But somebody has guns, somebody has a stick.
That's good. That's perfect analogy, isn't it? Like they were about 60%, and there's a lot more to come to that. And I think there's a lot more to come from a lot of the teams. I think France near the end were probably putting their foot off the gas a little bit. They didn't put their foot on the neck for New Zealand. They
No,
probably could have, but they were like, okay, we've got the win now. Let's conserve. Um, and I think Ireland was one of those teams. I'm excited to see what this Ireland team can do, man. I think
no.
it's going to be an interesting game against Scotland. Scotland have come out wounded, but
Man,
I think
they have
there's a
to met themselves again, and because they look so sloppy. But I know South Africa was so good in that game. But
well, it goes
man,
to
they was
show.
predictable.
Mm,
That what the feeling were for me in for
yeah, I mean,
Scotland.
obviously you were there, so you saw it more, right? Especially you saw off the ball stuff, which we didn't see on camera, so you would have seen a lot more of the picture than we did. But for me, it looked like the blitz was so aggressive, was so quick. Though, and let's be really honest, right? Like a lot of the times, the ref was a little bit, fast and loose with the offside rule with the South Africans, but they were so aggressive. They couldn't ship the ball out. They were in everyone's faces, like Tuipulotu or Hugh Jones. Like
No,
they liked they shut down, weren't they? They didn't have any time on the ball. They were
no,
suffocated.
absolutely. But also because South Africa were so good rushing out because they were starting like 1 meters behind the line, so that helps them
Accelerating on.
shooting out more. No, but for me, Peter Steph Dutoit had one of the huge game. Man, when the cover they did, even if he didn't tackle, but when there is this classic shape of attack on a set piece by Scotland, when there is a central field scrum, and they go with a stack of three, and they go with the option first runner, second runner, and they have like options with the 9 first receiver or the 10 first receiver, depending who passed the ball from the scrum. Man, they push hard with the scrum in the way that the ball was dirty, was a little bit slower, and the flanker they were able to go and close and shut down the door. So even if Arendse was beaten by Graham, then arrive Peter Dutoit, and the tackle arrive from Arense. So good job. The way they cover the break from Darcy Graham in the other opportunity with Libok tackling, the scrumming, man. Every opportunity to do good stuff with the hands by Scotland was shut down by the scrum, we can say, by the bomb squad, whatever you want to call it. And Etzebeth went out after 20 minutes. And then came out the other crazy man, which is RG Snyman. I'm so happy for him that he did it for the World Cup after these 2 huge injuries on the knees.
Yeah, it was quite the recovery, wasn't it?
Oof. Yeah. So it's gonna be tough for them. The game is gonna be there. Ireland and Scotland. Scotland can try everything, nothing to lose, but the pressure is on them. No.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's gonna be the last game of the pool. Oh my God! Let's see who's gonna be 100% ready for that.
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for Scotland personally, and I know that the Scottish public have a bit of a soft spot for us as well. But I just they're a wounded beast right now. They'll go away. They'll lick their wounds. You should have seen Townsend in the post match. If you haven't watched it, have a little look on YouTube.
No, I have to.
He was like, you could see he was it was
rage.
It was in his skin. You could see it, like his face was down. Like he was just like rage.
Rage, right?
Rage. So it meant a lot to them, and clearly, they got it wrong. Let's see what happens, man.
Yeah, let's see what happens and let's see, starting from tomorrow with France versus Uruguay, the first game of Los Teros, which is our next
boom
opponent. Boom. Let's see who's gonna win, Mike, the game. I'm gonna give you just
by how much. By how much?
Let's say Uruguay is gonna score the first try of the game, right? Like Chile did. Come on, yeah, they can do it. Something weird.
Okay. What, like a intercept, like Romania, or?
Oh, intercept. That's nice. I didn't think about. I thought like Arata, crazy thing, scored the try, but yes, love it. An intercept, perfect.
Okay.
And then
I think it's going to be, and then from there, I think it's going to go downhill. Like, I think they're going to be competitive for about 60 minutes. They might even keep the score tight for, like 7 to 10 points out. And then I think the avalanche will come. Like, there's only so long that they can keep the water out the boat before it overflows. And it's going to start sinking pretty quickly after the 60-minute mark. I genuinely reckon it's probably going to be
France
35-12.
35-12
with a French second team.
Listen, but bonus point or not bonus point for France?
Yeah, Uruguay need to do us a favor here, right?
Of course. It's 2 favors, not 1, 2.
I think actually, you know what? Bonus point, Uruguay. Save yourselves for the New Zealand game, right? As long as we get the bonus point off you, save yourself for the New Zealand game, and then maybe beat them or try a draw with them or something. But yeah. I think that's it.
So fun. Well, I think, like different points, maybe. Man, I think like 30 points difference maybe is gonna be, and like we said before, at the beginning they can stay in the game. I want to see how France react on nerves with the second team on some weird situation that maybe they can happen, a red card, yellow, something. That is going to be interesting to see how strong mentally are prepared the second team, we can say, no? And also, let's see if they're going to I don't remember if Dupont is in the
I don't think he is.
No, he's in the bench, because I saw a picture that he posted that he's been lifted in the line out. So
the scenes.
Man, South Africa is going this game with the 4 halfbacks. All the halfbacks are gonna be. Grant Williams is playing wing. Hendricks and Reinach from the bench. No, Faf and Hendricks from the bench, Reinach as 9. So
well, here's the
that's
thing, right?
gonna happen.
I'll probably, because I know we're coming up to 2 hours now live, so we'll probably want to wrap up. But I'll leave you with one thought, and this is shout out to my mate Ellis as well. Obviously, we played league together, and we often have a discussion about what the game would look like if it had multiple nines. So like if we had 9s playing wings, so that, you know, you were saying about the fluidity of the game, like
competence in areas.
How often do we see like a 9, you know, get caught and they're at the bottom of the ruck and then it's slow ball? Like imagine just having 3 players
ready to follow up to know what is happening. No,
that's what I was so impressed with by Lamar this last game. Like if you know Varney got like tied up, he was just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, he goes there. Yeah, no problem. Or Capozzo, because he play 9.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Or, you know, then we could have Martin Petretta, we could have Varney,
Gerbisi?
we could have
Gerbisi Paolo.
Well,
play 9, and
he
then
played
they
9
switch.
as well, yeah. But
yeah.
I mean, like,
so.
Like in this team, genuinely, we could have full score on the wing at some point, right? We could have Martin Petretta on the other wing
as fullback 10,
Capozzo at fullback, right? So then we have Varney. That's four scrum halves on the pitch.
Yep.
I'm about it.
Let's see if Crowley's gonna wake up and do something weird next game. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, we never know, but
we never know.
It's an interesting thing.
Sadly, we never know. That's true. We will never know. So 1 hour 50 minutes on. We're gonna split the pod in 2 parts. Thanks everybody that joined this live, because I saw a lot of people between the channels being and participating to us. So thanks Luca, thanks Ian, Crucchioli, Mauro, Silver, Luca, Samuele. Let's see, at the beginning we have Michael and Robbie, for example, and Claudio. So we have a lot of people connected. Stay tuned to Fratelli Rugby podcast everywhere, the Italian rugby podcast that bring you a lot of knows about what is rugby for us, and that's something just so positive. So see you next game for a watch along, I think, and with the new guests that we're gonna have on the podcast, Mike.
Yes.
Okay.
So like Ottavio just said, thanks to everyone who has been supporting us, who have, you know, been listening to us, who've been, you know, resharing, liking our stuff. It all means a lot, and it always helps us. So if you're not subscribed, if you don't mind taking a couple of seconds and giving us a like and click the notification stuff on, because we're going to be doing a lot more of this. So yeah, thanks everyone. And
we are everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You just write Fratelli Rugby. If it's blue with a Coliseum, it's us. So
that's it.
Don't get wrong. Ciao a tutti ragazzi, buonanotte, viva il rugby.
Buonanotte a tutti, ciao.